Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is so many shiny things. you know, I just have been finding all these incredible opportunities online for education and training and opportunities, and it can be a little daunting, and I thought that that would be a great topic for today: how to navigate all of the input that we get constantly. But before we get started, let's just take a minute to settle in and get present. So take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it, and imagine crisp, clean oxygen flowing into your lungs and into your bloodstream and nourishing all your cells and your organs and lighting you up. And as you exhale, exhale any tension in your body, your shoulders, your back. Just allow yourself to relax and take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it, and this time imagine sparkling white light just coursing through every molecule of your body, invigorating, enlightening, and expanding out into the world, connecting you and all your molecules with the vast universe around us. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension. And now let's just gently press our palms together and really, really softly and slowly rub your fingers against your palms and just feel that delicious tickling and tingling, and allow yourselves to become present right here, right now. Welcome, everybody. I'm really glad to be here with you this morning. And we're talking about so many shiny things. So, I have been a personal growth junkie most of my life, and there are always wonderful opportunities, trainings, and educational opportunities and certification opportunities and all kinds of crazy, amazing social things now on Zoom and summits and so much information. I don't know about you, but I find it pretty overwhelming sometimes. And there are lots and lots of things that call to me, and there is only so much time that I have. And I have found that historically I have tended to overbook myself just to be participating in so many different things. And I think that it's really, really, really valuable to find a, a compass to discern priorities, to be able to make priorities and to choose these things to be involved in a very conscious way. And I think that this is something that a lot of folks experience socially too, even before COVID and the radical increase of online opportunities, where we want to say yes to everything. We want to say yes because we want to be able to help everybody. We want to be able to spend time with everybody. We want to be able to do it all the time. And what happens is that in many cases, when we say yes to things without really considering what we're saying yes to, we end up not either disappointing ourselves in our ability to follow through, or disappointing others whom we've made commitments to because we don't have the bandwidth to fulfill those commitments. And so the question is, how do we prioritize and create more space for ourselves in our lives? And uh, I find this really fascinating. I had a very interesting conversation with one of my clients yesterday about so many opportunities and so many things that we're curious about and interested in, and it's like the next shining thing. What do we, like, oh, that looks great, oh, that looks great, these all look great. And I have so many resources to be able to apply. Like, I have X amount of time and money that I can budget for those things and in this time. And yes, it's possible to expend time to a great degree, but we do have the realities of our energy and our, so many hours in a day and things being scheduled, et cetera, et cetera. So what we came up with was pretty interesting. And this is, how do we make choices about the things that we choose to do? Um, First of all, we can do everything. We just can't do it all at once, right? And maybe not everything, but we surely can do a lot, just not all at once. And so the metric that we kind of came up with together is checking in with your heart, checking in with what's going on inside, because it's so easy to rationalize and justify a choice and to say, this is really good on paper, this would assist me this way, that way, and the other way, and what if I, how do I decide? And I think that when we know, we know. And I want your feedback. First of all, say hi. Say hi if you're here and listening. Check in and say hi so we can have this conversation together. I'm really interested to hear if do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel overwhelmed by all the opportunities and the summits and the information I mean, lots and lots of people are doing really wonderful, amazing things. And I want to do it all. And that said, when I really check in, there are things that really resonate for me. In a moment, I can say, when I check in, this is a yes. And when there's a yes, you don't have to hem and haw. You don't have to figure out, is this a good thing? Is this not a good thing? When you have that internal yes, you find a way to do that thing, whatever that thing might be, or you decide to buy that thing, or you decide to engage in that thing when it's a heartfelt yes. And my thinking is that if we are in that place of overwhelm and constant input, that if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And I invite you to try that on and see. I mean, this is something that I'm just starting to experiment with for myself as well, because I am finding myself needing more spaciousness in my life. And so preserving that spaciousness and respecting it highly enough to not infringe upon it with random things that may provide some value but are not really super contributory to my life. um, I have found that I need to look more closely, or I get to look at more closely at what's a hell yes and what's well, I don't know, this could be good, this might be great, or I really would like to do that and I don't have the time. So a lot of times the problem or the challenge comes from what we think we want to commit to or what we think we should commit to versus what our heart really calls us to commit to. So, making commitments to please others, unless we are aligned with that in our hearts, is not a really great strategy. Uh, if particularly if you're trying to optimize your time and your experience. What is your feeling about this? Chime in for me and let me know what you think. I think that so many people I know are overwhelmed by the plethora of and the abundance of incredible, wonderful opportunities. And I don't know about you, but I can suffer from information overload, and the the resilience and the energy that it takes to be absorbing new information all the time. And there, I've spoken about this dynamic and this notion that is a common societal notion that more is better. And I think that more can be too much. And there is a point at which more becomes too much. And it's interesting because I know that the fine art of decluttering, the book, has become very, very popular, where people are decluttering their environments to come more into simplicity and creating this spaciousness. And I think that this is something that we get to do for our hearts and our minds as well, is to declutter our schedules from things that don't bring us joy. And that's not to say there aren't things that we have obligations and commitments to fulfill. And I'm not advocating dumping that and just saying, well, I don't want to do that, so I'm not doing it. But there are points in our schedules and our lives where we do get to say, I don't want to do that, so I'm not doing it. And the more we can fill our lives with space and the the things that we are called to from our hearts, the more reward we'll feel in life, the more fulfillment we'll feel in life, the more joy we'll feel in life, and the more engaged we'll be able to be and present for the things that we are committed to. How many of you have found yourselves in the midst of a webinar or a seminar or a summit or something that you really wanted to do, and you're multitasking and trying to do other things all at the same time in order to maximize and optimize your time? And Dido says, I've taken to listening to silence while driving, even though I could be listening to useful podcasts. Hallelujah, Dido. I was a sales rep for years and years, and I would spend a lot of time driving. I would drive sometimes 1,000 miles a week. It was crazy. And I always spent that time in silence. And afterwards, after that period of my life, I realized that that had been a profound meditative time for me. And the constant input of the world and the acceleration and abundance of information that is at our fingertips all the time is really too much. It's overwhelming. And so cultivating our filters, our inner filters, to be able to discern the things that are truly going to enrich us and the other things that are just sort of additional. So there we can put things in categories of have to have, and I say have to in air quotes here, but like the things that are really super priorities and we're in 100% alignment with making those choices to engage in those things and say I am into this, I'm committed. And then there are nice to haves, and there may be room in your schedule and in your energy to accommodate some of those things, perhaps. And then there's someday, maybe. And by sorting these opportunities, I mean, maybe even literally, physically writing them down, putting them in their segments, can be a really freeing thing to get it out of your head and into a format that you can look at, whether it's on paper or if it's on a computer or on a spreadsheet or something, whatever resonates best for you. But to download, offload some of the constant input, which reminds me of um, I think it's called 33 folders. I might have the number wrong, but it's a system of organizing all your thoughts, and it's with folders for each month and folders for each week, and then a daily folder kind of thing, and there are chunks or piles that you can put things into, like urgent, something that's going to forward the business, but it's not urgent. It's important, but not urgent. And these different categories for sorting through information and and schedules. And I think that if we don't care for ourselves in the process of choosing the things that we are committed to doing and constraining those things, that we get to a point where we're just burnt out, and we get to choose what our true priorities are. And it may mean leaving some very cool things on the table, or it may mean leaving some tasks undone. It may mean, it will mean leaving things on the table and leaving tasks undone. And that's okay, because there's too much, and more is not necessarily better. More can be too much. And constant improvement is, sometimes something is really good just the way it is. And I think this goes into, again, the notion of sufficiency. When is enough enough? When and this conversation actually arose with a client, as I said, but in the context of certifications and trainings and credentials. And I think this is a really interesting conversation, because for years I was collecting all kinds of experience in modalities, learning training, certifications, and eventually what I realized is that a big motivator behind my collection of all these certifications was to validate myself because I didn't feel competent enough or confident enough. I didn't feel worthy enough. So I had to get more and more and more and more training in all kinds of things until finally, eventually, I did the work on me enough to be enough, to be qualified, to be worthy, to be able to contribute, to feel sufficient in myself and my skill set, which is extensive because I've been trained out the wazoo and I've had a lot of years of practice as well, as I guarantee you many of you have. And I wonder, are you still collecting certifications and not yet putting your skills and your services out into the world? So that was my story for a long time, and I have clients who have had a similar story. And uh, I think that it's so fascinating. So many of our conversations here come down to or back to the notion of worthiness. Because if we don't believe that we're enough, if we don't believe that we're worthy, smart enough, know enough, credentialed enough, if we don't believe that we are enough, then we allow ourselves to not contribute the gifts that we have to the world in so many ways. And so this conversation about the next shiny thing was based in, well, this could help my business, or knowing this or having this certification could help my business, or um, how will that certification help your business? Do you need that credential to validate you to your audience? Or can you emanate the authority of the value of your service, for example? So uh, I I'll use a personal example. I had gotten certified in hypnosis years and years ago, and I took training in neurolinguistic programming and all these other programs and certifications. And so this was years and years ago, and I was looking at starting my coaching practice up in a programmatic sort of format. And uh, I went and got a hypnosis certification, another one. Why? Because, and a coaching certification. Why? Because I did not at that time recognize or feel the confidence and authority in my skill, in my, not my skills, because I did know my skills, but in my validity somehow, in my worthiness. And as I transitioned through that into a space of presence and confidence to the gifts that I have to give, I'm now able to speak it in such a way that nobody ever asks what my credentials are. And it's fascinating to know that, um, to know that my beingness shifted the whole dynamic of interaction from the people that I interface with. The people do ask for a website, where can I learn more about it periodically, but there's a whole different level of confidence in communication that shifts the dynamic. So I'm not saying you don't need training. I'm not saying you don't need some, training and certification, or to build certain skills. And certainly in a number of arenas, those certifications are crucial, and are a crucial credential. I'm not belittling that, but I was a collector of credentials, and I know a lot of healer people who are collectors of credentials and really skilled, amazingly brilliant practitioners. However, without that inner confidence and assurance of your own worth and capacity for contribution, we tend to sort of keep our gifts to ourselves and not share them in the way that we could. So this conversation about the next shiny thing is to say, well, what is driving your collecting, if you are, of all these different things, or your drive to take this course and take that course and get this certification, and what is driving that? Is it from a heartfelt yes, or are you being driven from a sense of insecurity, or are you or insufficiency? Or the bottom line is just check in with your heart, check in with your motivations, and make the distinction between what is a hell yes and what is a nice to know, nice to have, and what is a someday maybe. And hopefully that can offload, if you're being really honest with yourself, that can offload a whole lot of the potential diversions. And this works with tasks too, like all the things that we think we have to do. It works the same way. There are priorities that we can set, and we can say, you know what? I have that on my schedule and I'm really not committed to it. And free yourself from it. So, shiny things take our attention, but we do get to choose to bring ourselves back to the things that deeply matter, that truly matter. And one of those things that matters, at least to me, is having some space and some time to be. And I've actually adjusted my schedule in such a way that I can create that for myself. And I am seeing myself wrestle with the inclination to fill my schedule up again, and to fill it with things that aren't the things that light my heart up. So Dido says, I like the heartfelt yes. I do that when shopping for clothes. If it's not a big immediate yes, then it's a no. That's the strategy. Exactly. If it's not a heartfelt yes, it's a no. You could put it on, in the someday maybe pile if you want to, but if it's not a heartfelt yes, that means it's a no. You don't have to hem and haw and worry and concern and stress about it, because your heart has already said, I don't really care about that so much. And so then you can say next, which is a wonderful thing. So I encourage you to listen to your heart and create more spaciousness. And I'm wondering how life will be different as we listen to our hell yes and we allow for our our um, not so much to really be something that we respect instead of trying to convince ourselves that we should be doing things um, other than what we're called to. So that is it for today, these musings. I hope you enjoy engaging in these with me, and I hope it brings value. My name is Mira Rubin, and I'm here on the Core Connection every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. We go live on the Facebook page of Enlightened World Network every weekday. And I invite you to check out the wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network and the community there that is so heartfelt and spiritual and loving. So with that, have a wonderful day. I have so much love and compassion for you, and I really enjoy you spending this time with me. I enjoy spending it with you. And until next time.